What is more dangerous than people usually think? Saving a drowning person. It looks relatively easy in the movies, and people tend to think that as long as you're a good swimmer and can swim with one arm or just your legs, it's not that difficult. But there's a major factor that they don't show in the movies. The victim will not be cooperative, but rather, will actively try to drown you. They're panicked and their one and only instinct is to go up for air, which means pushing you down. So if you get in reach of their frailing arms and they grab you, expect to be pushed down, and they'll use all their power to push you down at that point. The power of a panicked person can be scary. So even if you can swim, it's generally a bad idea to go after the victim, especially without a flotation device, because you could easily become the second victim. Escalators are crazy dangerous. Way more dangerous than elevators, which have safety functions up the wazoo. There's just no interest in making escalators safer. Source: work for a company that manufactures escalator components, in addition to other things, including elevator components.
Hey guys, much like you, I love reading people's stories on Ask Reddit. Unfortunately, there's a lot of weird middle school level, just thought experiment type hypotheticals like nice try Baskin Robbins. I don't find this compelling, so that's why I've made it my mission to trawl and crawl through Ask Reddit and find the very best content and put it in your ears. That's why I'm begging you, like and subscribe. If there's anything I can do to help you out, give you the kind of content that you crave to help you get through your workday, let me know in a comment. But please like and subscribe.
A note: I have linked another comment of mine with more information, videos, and instructions here. Lifeguard here. This is completely true. Saving a drowning person is extremely dangerous. If you watch a guard make a save, they either approach from behind and pin the victim's arms back, or approach from the front, lock their elbows, and keep an arm's length. That victim is in survival mode. They will grab onto you and push you under if it means one more breath of air for them. Guards have to go through a whole section of training on how to escape a victim that is latched onto you or pushing you under. It seems completely counterintuitive, but you have to get away from them. You cannot let them grab you. Their brain has shut down, all they care about is air. If you let them get a hold of you, you'll both drown. If someone drowning latches onto you, push their arms forcefully up, and dive deeper. That is the last place their brain will want to go when they are desperate for air. They'll release you. Don't be afraid to use force. If you're trapped, two of you are drowning then. Always bring some sort of flotation. For front approach, lock your elbows, and force the flotation down and under their armpits. For rear approach, loop your arms under their armpits. Keep your arms locked and push them to safety. Note: if a forceful push is not allowing you to escape, use whatever means necessary. Kick, punch, pull hair. Be forceful. The force will deter them from holding on, and may clarify the need for cooperation. I work on the motorways in England, and it only took a few months to make me terrified of driving. Not driving tired, or driving drunk, or driving fast, or driving while texting. Just driving. There are dozens of cars around you at all times and you have no idea what one of them is going to do. I've seen people stop in the fast lane because their partner is trying to put nail polish on and it's too juddery. I've seen people die at the wheel and cross both carriageways when they swerve. I've seen someone driving down the motorway throwing rocks out their window at other drivers. You can be the safest driver in the world, but that doesn't stop someone else wiping you out. Llama. I remember reading an article about people using these as guard animals for livestock. One person said they went out back one day and found their llamas kicking the hell out of a piece of raw leather material. After looking into, they found meat chunks and fur from a mountain lion that the llamas had kicked to death, then played with its corpse. Llamas are evil. This is the most replies I have ever received. I am guessing there is a reference which would explain all the Carol comments. Someone mind explaining this to me? I have now seen the most beautiful thing in the world, true friendship. Well, true friendship and a blood vortex over Paris. Flash flooding. There are always people who think they can drive through the water, and way more often than not they'll get stuck or worse, swept away and killed. Do not drive through rushing water over the road. It takes way less water than you think to get you in serious trouble. Turn around, don't drown. I work in the beverage industry, and one of the first stories I was told when I was learning about CO2 tanks and regulators is about a guy who died while trying to service an exterior enclosed bulk CO2 tank. It was in a cement block enclosure with no roof, and he needed to get in but the door was locked. So this guy puts a ladder up the wall and drops over. What he doesn't realize is the CO2 tank has been leaking steadily for a while. CO2 sinks, not rises, and there were no vent holes in the bottom of the walls for the CO2 to escape. It was over pretty quick. Don't skimp out on CO2 alarms, folks. Well, this blew up. For those asking about CO2 alarms, they do exist, but they're geared towards commercial environments. They're mounted low to the ground in places like walk-in coolers, and go off when the CO2 level reaches a certain concentration. This isn't something a home kegerator user will ever likely need to be concerned about, as the home tanks are relatively small. As to why he wasn't able to make it back out after dropping in, my assumption is he probably became disoriented unconscious pretty quickly after going over the wall. It's also possible this was a padlocked gate of some kind instead of a traditional door. As someone else mentioned, it's likely it wasn't up to OSHA codes. I once witnessed these people move aside the yellow under repair barrier at the bottom of an escalator, ride to the top, and then panic because of the gaping hole between where the moving stairs stopped and where the floor is. The repair crew had removed that metal trapdoor thing for their work. Anyway, they were able to be helped over the gap, but more people kept riding up the escalator, despite bystanders telling them not to. I walked up the stairs and all these angry people were saying they should have turned the escalator off if they wanted to work on it. I don't know how to fix an escalator, but I imagine there was a reason it was still running. But regardless, your dumb asses moved the safety gate aside, you probably still would have walked up the escalator. Just, why? Why do you think you know better? There was an elevator right there too, so it's not like people who couldn't take the stairs were Saul. When I was 7, I was at a mall in Florida and witnessed an old lady fall at the bottom of an escalator. Before she could get back up, her necklace got caught on one of the stairs and started pulling her head towards the meat grinder edge. Thankfully, the necklace snapped just as her chin was getting close. My father has never drank alcohol in his life. Never smoked in his life. Eats the healthiest of healthy foods every day, just fruits, veggies, nuts, the real good stuff. Won't even touch candy or cake. Incredibly fit. At age 55 he beat me, a college soccer midfielder, in a 200 meters foot race. He gets about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night nowadays, and it has negated literally all of that stuff. A lifetime of work into his health, and his lack of sleep has destroyed him. Tons of health issues now, and the doctors say they are all related to stress, lack of sleep. Get your fucking sleep, people.
I turned 36 this year, and I decided to focus on my physical fitness, so I bought a swim club membership. The only problem was, most of the time when I go swimming, I wind up getting an ear infection. So, it turns out that normal earplugs that kind of irritate your ear canal, they don't really work, they don't keep the water out, but there is an amazing kind of earplug. It's called Mack's Pillow Soft Silicone earplugs that, they feel great, they keep the water out 100%, they're reusable, and they don't irritate your ear canal at all, no issues. If you've ever had a severe ear infection, you don't want to experience that again. It can permanently damage your hearing if you're unlucky. So, investing in these earplugs is definitely a good idea. Also, when my baby was crying later this year and I could not get to sleep, I used the same earplugs and they worked great. I was able to sleep right next to a crying baby. So be sure to click my affiliate link and purchase some of these Mack's earplugs today.
I almost drowned trying to save a friend in Hawaii. She isn't a great swimmer and I was getting out breath. Swimming makes me feel like my chest is being slowly crushed. I've done some crazy wild shit, but this was the single scariest situation I've been in. Somehow held my composure, and some of the guys there were lifeguards. So glad guys like you are amazing swimmers. Cheap green laser pointers. Green laser pointers focus a bunch of infrared radiation into a crystal. The output is a mix of some green light, and a lot of invisible infrared radiation. A filter is then placed before the output that only lets out the green. Many cheap laser pointer manufacturers skip out on the filter to save a few cents, letting very dangerous amounts of infrared radiation out. This means that many laser pointers that don't look bright are actually shooting out blinding amounts of energy that your eye cannot see. Very easy to blind yourself, or your cat, riding in a car. The lifetime odds of dying while riding in a car is approximately 1 in 606. Edit ad, 606 was as of 2013. Newer stats suggest a mere 1 to 645. What is worse is that being killed while a pedestrian is about 1 to 647. Edit ad, this is a lifetime stat, so if you know 645 people, chances are one of them will die while riding in a car that has an accident. Also, this will vary country by country. This is for US residents. Source, my traffic engineer wife would say, it's a head restraint, not a head rest, and totally agree with you. Just to clarify, traffic engineer means she studies traffic patterns, plans travel space usage, and sees terrifying accident fatality data, not that she knows specifically about how your car is designed. Apologies to all the specific questions I've received, we don't know. Smile, visiting an hospitalerist home without sanitary awareness. You may introduce or pick up pathogen, especially antibiotic-resistant bacteria are dangerous for everyone with a weak immune system. A healthy person, most probably, won't even notice when they carry for example MRSA, and it is more common than you may think. About 15 to 35 of people are possible vectors for MRSA alone. So please disinfect your hands before and after entering such a facility. Moose are bizarre. The scariest wildlife encounters I've had have all been with moose. The grizzlies, wolves, and mountain lions have never given me a problem. When you run into bears in the woods and look at them, you can see some form of intelligence looking back. Moose just have these empty, clueless eyes like there's not much going on in their heads. Between protective cows in the spring and testosterone-loaded bulls in the fall, they're a constant menace. Not to mention moose crossing roads. They're dark enough to make them tricky to see at night, and if you hit one, its body is coming through the windshield. Cave diving. I am not a diver, but thanks to Reddit I consider myself an expert on not ever going to try cave diving. It's amazing the stories I've read after Googling cave diving about people who have no business doing it getting themselves killed or in very dangerous situations. It very well could be one of the most dangerous things we can try to do, and yet there are people who have no respect for the skill and preparation it takes to do. I'm also amazed at all of the stories of people who were qualified to cave dive and found themselves dead or in dangerous situations. The one in China? That was awful to watch, especially with her kid having to stand there watching it all. I was so glad that the video didn't have sound. That would have been agonizing. I remember when that video came out, someone mentioned something that stuck with me since then. To keep an escalator moving at a constant speed, the motor is designed to ramp up under an increased load, so when that woman fell and the motor kept working harder to fight through the resistance she created. If grabbed. Suck, tuck, and duck. Suck in air. Tuck your chin to your shoulder. Duck underwater. Push up on their elbows and swim away. Reposition and keep a buoyant object between you and the victim and try again. Otherwise, reach or throw, don't go. Reach from the edge of the pool by laying down flat so they can't pull you in, hand, leg, stick, shepherd's crook, or throw them something that floats. Edit. As others have noted, if they aren't letting go, do whatever you need to. If you don't want to hurt too much, pinching the skin on their triceps hurts a lot to make them let go, but really punch the nose if you had to. Edit. Added source. Source: lifeguard for 13 years, lifeguard instructor for 7 years, water safety instructor 12 years, Whale Tales presenter for 10 years. Trying to pet a dog you don't know. Almost got my hand shredded years back. Dog didn't know me, was just being protective. Since then, I've seen too many people casually approach animals they don't know and expect a slimy wet kiss. Doesn't always happen that way.
If there's ever a fly, or a mosquito, or like a yellow jacket, or some weird unknown insect in my house, my wife will not leave me alone until it is dead, and she will blame me personally for having a house that an insect entered. The only way that I'm able to buy peace for myself so that I can work on this YouTube channel that you enjoy is by using an electric fly swatter with an affiliate link in the description. The way this fly swatter works is that you hold down the little button and then you whack the fly as if it were a tennis ball, and it looks like a tennis racket. And what the electricity does is it stuns the insect or kills it so that you can clean it up easily. And the fact that it's a tennis racket, gives you a much better chance of actually hitting the insect. And I found it invaluable, and I hope that you will decide to also use it in your home. And, if you're like a teenage boy, you can also whack other teenage boys with it. We used to do that in the Boy Scouts.
Edit. This comment was about the dangers of moving water. It was also an automated bot. I had a Coast Guard guy explain this to me once. He had a bucket of water. He asked a kid to lift it. Kid had a hard time. Now imagine someone throwing 20 of those at your ankles. Slightly related amusing anecdote: I regularly take my 3-year-old son to a public pool to swim, and most of the time there are synchro swim teams practicing in the deep end. He loves watching them, so I have to stand there like a creepy middle-aged man trying not to look at the teenage girls in the pool. I basically have to position myself so my back is to them so I can keep an eye on my son to make sure he doesn't fall in the pool. It's the only way to not look like a total dirtbag. Couple of my friends like to go to this one bar all the time. It is an absolute shithole in my opinion. It's dark. It's gross. It's always filled with sketchballs. I fucking hate it and usually refuse to go, but there are times I have no choice but have to go. Few weeks ago I was talking to them and the topic of roofies came up. And a few of the guys and girls were all like, "Oh yeah, I got roofied at that bar, oh yeah, me too." It was said all matter of fact and casually. I'm sorry, but the bar that multiple of you have been roofied at is a bar I cross off my list of places to go. Everyone was discussing it as if it was just one of those things that happens every couple of months. No, it's not. My dad was going to go cave diving with his friends when he was a teenager, but his parents stopped him. The friends died. When they finally found the bodies, the fingernails were gone because the divers had tried to scratch their way out of the cave. Grammar, childbirth. I get very annoyed with women who complain about not having their birth plan adhered to word for word. Number one priority is getting the baby out your uterus without either of you dying or having serious complications. Stop complaining that you didn't get the rose-scented bath bomb to go in your water bath pool that you wanted. Yes, I'm exaggerating a bit, but childbirth is still dangerous in the Western world and a lot of women don't realize it.
This year, like I said, I'm having a midlife crisis. I've started a YouTube channel and I'm on a big health kick. One thing that I found is very easy to eat, very easy to prepare, is I heat up chickpeas with chicken broth and tikka masala. And there are two schools of thought about how you should eat beans. Some people believe you should buy the dry beans and soak them, but I tried that and it was a disaster. So I buy canned beans every time. And if I'm opening like 2 cans a day to be on this diet, it is a massive pain in the ass if the can has this jagged metal edge. I'm worried if like little bits of metal are getting into my food, I'm going to slice up my intestines. So I found this special can opener that actually opens the can in a way that is completely safe, no metal's getting in your food, and is 1,000 times better than any other can opener I've ever used. So if you wind up, opening a lot of cans for whatever reason, maybe you've got a cat or something, you must buy this can opener from my affiliate link.